I can already see something that I did when I made this a couple years ago that I would not do today. And that's beading with a...
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Who the heck is that? Alright, let's see what we're working with. Oh, and before I get started, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I'm sitting a little bit lower than I usually am. And that's because my chair, which is right there, which served me for a good long 10 hard-working years, has finally left us and gone to the big office in the sky. And so if you're watching this, please shop ByTrokon.com because it helps buy things like new chairs so I don't have to sit on these while I'm doing my work. Anyways. All right, let's see what we're working with. So we got one box and it has my name on it and everything just so that I don't get confused if I needed to know whose assignment this was. And we have two pieces inside. Now the first one, I actually remember this piece, but it wasn't mine. It's not a BBT original. She just gave it to me and I put some end caps on it with a couple jump rings so that she could wear it as a choker. But this piece was actually mine. This was the piece that I made for them. And you can see that it got just a little busted and it could use some TLC. So let's look at the damage and see what all we got to do to get this back in working order. Now let me just say, as an artist, you are always evolving. The way that you make or that you craft right now is going to be completely different from the way that you craft 6 months, a year, 2 years from now, because you're always developing, you're always growing, and you're working towards becoming a master in whatever craft that you're in. And I am no exception to that rule. Now, I say that to say that I can already see something that I did when I made this a couple years ago that I would not do today. And that's beading with embroidery floss. And the reason why I used to do that was because at the time, I wanted to start using a material that was a little bit stronger and a little bit more firm than the elastic that I was used to using. Because while elastic is great for bracelets, because obviously it needs to be able to get over the knuckle of your thumb when you're taking off your bracelet, and so expansion is very important to you wearing a bracelet for a long period of time and its durability. With a necklace, it kind of takes away from the feel. When you have a necklace that is on an elastic, for me personally, it doesn't feel quite as luxurious as would be the case if the beads were tightly fastened to one another. And so I wanted to look for something that could do that. And embroidery floss was something that I thought could do that. But embroidery floss has its specific uses, and I was not using it for that. I thought that it was perfectly fine for using it for jewelry, but the issue with using it for jewelry is that it doesn't hold up over time because embroidery floss and moisture do not mix. So what ended up happening here, if you guys can see, is that obviously with her wearing it over time, the strands get wet just by you sweating, being a human being, just existing, and then they eventually get weak enough that they tear. And when they tear, you don't have your piece. Now, lucky for us, the place where it tore was relatively at the top, and so she still has most of her pieces, so it's not going to be much of a thing putting this back together. So all that I'm going to do is get the few 4mm black glass pieces that I need to replace this part over here, the few rondelle hematite pieces that I need, and then I'm just going to fix the clasp, and this piece should be done. Okay, so now we've finished switching out the cord. So there's no more any embroidery floss, and now there's a new, far stronger thermally bonded weaving thread, the wildfire weaving thread that I was talking about using. And this thing, I can feel the strength in it, and it already it feels better, it feels stronger, and she's absolutely going to love it when she sees it. So now all that's left is just for me to finish up the ends and close up the piece, and then we can move on to everybody's favorite part, taking the photos. And just like that, we've got our finished piece with all of the original material still intact. And the design integrity of the piece is 100%. I mean, this thing looks pretty much exactly like how it did when I first designed it 2 years ago, with all of its original materials, from the batik bone to the black glass to the hematite spikes and the brass infinity nuts at the end as charms. Honestly, man, this was by far one of my favorite customs. So now all I'm gonna do is take the photos and show them to you guys in better light, and then you let me know in the comments what you think. Is this a dope piece? Would you wear it? Or better yet, do you know somebody that would? But until next time, stay 101.